Hey, my name's Matt. I grew up in a pastor's home. My dad was a pastor. My mom was my youth pastor. On both sides of my family, there are pastors, and so it's kind of this hyper Christian environment. And you'd think that growing up that way would just be like, okay, you're just all about God all the time. But the reality is I wasn't. I was very set in my own ways, trying to do my own thing, trying to make my high school rock band the thing, and not really actively going after God. Every day after school I would be with my bandmates, and we would be trying to practice, trying to make it big. Well, I guess thinking that would be the biggest thing we would do. I mean, I think I knew that God was real then, but I don't think I knew what to do about it. There was one time in particular where I was working at a camp, and there was a kid that went missing, and we went and we were looking all over the camp for him. We couldn't find him anywhere, and we started to panic. We don't want to lose a kid or anything like that. And I remember there was this place kind of off down a path in the woods. It's called The Point, and I wondered maybe he went out there, and so I ran out there, and I found him sitting there, and kind of went down and sat beside him and asked him what was up. I discovered that this guy, he was another pastor's kid like me. And he was broken, and he didn't feel loved. And he felt his family had given everything they could to the ministry instead of to the family. And I sat there, and I said, how could someone feel this way? Someone who grew up so close to God, how could they feel so far away from Him? And then I started looking at myself. I kind of realized that was me. And it wasn't that my parents didn't love me or anything like that, but you see, I hadn't bought into anything. I grew up with God so close to me that I just took Him for granted. I didn't realize the relationship that was actually supposed to be there. I got into reading the gospel a lot more. I mean, I had read it before, but I really started concentrating on it. And something stuck out to me, that as I read through the gospel, I felt attached to God's story. I knew the Bible tells us, that God loved everybody. That for God so loved the world, right? That He gave His only Son. That He loves everyone. And I knew that, that I was included in that everyone, but I hadn't really ever thought of how specific Christ's thoughts would have actually been, because He's God, because He's all-knowing. And so actually when you really think about it, you start to realize that as Jesus was on earth walking the dusty roads of Israel, somewhere deep in his knowledge and deep underneath the pages of Scripture, He was actually aware of me. He knew about me, and he knew that He had this desire to restore a relationship with Matthew Fast. 2,000 years ago, He knew my name. I wasn't even around, obviously, but He knew my name. And that changes things. I mean, I think about it and it staggers me. Things are different when you realize that as Christ walked around, He was kind of thinking about you. That when He went and died on the cross, He was saying, I'm doing this for Matt Fast. It's really changed the way I live. It's God who Himself came to earth and took all my sin, all my mess ups, all my nastiness, and He said, it's okay, I'm going to forgive you for it. Just follow me. And it's really changed my life. It reorients the priorities, right? It was in high school. I was focused on my band. That was going to be the big thing. But now it's I look back on it and I'm like, that was stupid. In fact, all that stuff, all that material stuff, even my own relationships with people, I need to hold with an open hand. A hand that offers it to God because of His sacrifice for me. And it is only Him and the good news, the gospel, that I actually hold with a closed fist. I live differently today. Talk about God differently today. To realize that despite my brokenness, God has chosen to call me into a mission. He's put a call on my own heart to speak His truth to people. The number one thing is restoration to Christ. That relationship with Him, where we reflect His image, where we proclaim His glory, not ours. Christ in the hope of glory.